Johnny, get your gun, get your gun, get your gun. Take it on the run, on the run, on the run. Hear them calling you.
Welcome back to Frontline Rejects. Before we get started today, we'd appreciate it if you could help us out by hitting that like and subscribe button and by dropping a comment in the comment section below. And if you'd like to reach out to us directly, send us an email at frontlinerejects@gmail.com. The bullet we're testing today is the 140 grain Nosler Accubond in .264 diameter, which we've got loaded up for our Savage Axis, which we're going to run from 100 to 500 yards. This is the fourth time we've tested Nosler's Accubond here on the channel, and if you haven't already seen any of our previous presentations on this bullet, there will be links in the video's description. Of course, this is a bonded bullet, which means the jacket is electrochemically fused to the core, and we're very excited to see how it's going to perform in our test today. It's performed extremely well in the past, and we'll be testing this bullet at least once more as part of our 5-cartridge review on it. Anyway, we're very excited to see how it's going to perform, and we hope you are as well. So let's get started. Alrighty, getting into the results from our fourth test with the Nosler Accubond here. We've got the recovered projectiles from all ranges fired, and overall I'd say we have pretty good results. Quick note at the 400, we got a bit of goofiness going on. That projectile came in a few inches low and hit some of the wood ribbing on our trough. Estimated impact velocities were provided today using JBM ballistic software. And as we take a look at the 100 here, we've got some really beautiful performance with the bullet peeling back on all sides to just about the base of the projectile. Our story continues at the 200, not sure what happened here exactly, but with the skewed expansion and the better performance at the 3, I'd guess something caused this bullet to tumble on impact. And at 300, we revert to a very similar mushrooming pattern as the 100, albeit ending further up the shank of the bullet than the previous ranges. 400 yards, as previously mentioned, came into contact with some wood, and we've got some deformation as a result. And rounding out at the 5, we've got a similar expansion pattern to the 1 and 300, but like the 3 to the 1, we're seeing that mushrooming ending expanding further up the shank as we drop below 2,000 feet per second. Alrighty, let's take a quick look at our graphs here, and right off the bat, we've got expansion in every range exceeding 2 times original size, with our lowest figure being 2.15 or so when we graze the wood at 400. Expansion standard deviation is very low, and average expansion is 2.24 times original size, which is fantastic, especially when paired with the average weight retention of darn near 80%. Of course, at the earlier ranges, weight retention was a bit lower, but as we dropped below that 2,300 feet per second mark, weight retention increased. So this bullet expands consistently and carries its weight forward reliably within the velocity range we tested it at, but it doesn't expand so much that I think it would decelerate too quickly. Bullets with near 3 times original size and expansion can potentially decelerate rapidly, causing them to transfer all their energy into a target, which can be beneficial, but which can keep them from penetrating deep on heavy game. And so I think the Accubond in this grain weight and diameter falls into a very specific performance range, and it does it consistently. Now, one of the downsides of doing ballistics testing in water jugs versus gelatin is that I can't measure the exact penetration depth, so any information related to that I provide is anecdotal. Side note, there are a lot of other very good YouTube channels out there which do excellent ballistics gel testing, and I would encourage everyone to use those channels as an additional resource. I think they help build a more complete picture of any one bullet's capabilities. But one thing that I noticed in this test was that the Accubond did penetrate through more rows of water jugs than some comparably weighted bullets in this caliber. And this is important to keep in mind as we get into the use case for this bullet. So with our use case, we'll define 2 factors, which are what range would I want to use this bullet to, and the second being on what game. So for this 140 grain Accubond out of a 6.5 Creedmoor, I think due to its flight characteristics and terminal performance that it would be a very effective option for medium-sized game like deer and antelope out to 600 yards. If you're a long-range hunter and you want to reach out further than 6, I think the 143 grain Hornady ELDX or 143 grain normal Bond Strike would be better options for this weight class of game, as they have considerably higher BCs and would expand effectively at extended distances. Now, a commonly accepted measure of whether or not a cartridge and bullet are acceptable for certain classes of game is energy foot-pounds. Generally speaking, it's recommended that your bullet be carrying at least 1,000 foot-pounds of energy at whatever your maximum engagement range is for deer, and 1,500 foot-pounds of energy for elk. And at 600, which we defined as our max recommended range for this bullet in this diameter and weight class, our ballistics chart told us we were carrying 1,002 foot-pounds of energy at 600 yards on the day we were shooting with our ambient conditions. And I'm not entirely on board with the idea that you have to have exactly that amount, like if your bullet's only carrying 1,450 foot-pounds and your shot placement's perfect, it's not likely that an elk will just shrug that off. But it is a good baseline number to keep in mind when selecting bullets and cartridges for a given hunt. And keeping that in mind, along with remembering that this bullet produced average expansion of 2.25 and average weight retention of 80%, I think this bullet would be a good option for someone looking to hunt larger game like elk or black bear inside of 400 yards. At 400 yards, our graph gives us an estimated 1,350 foot-pounds of energy, but what is more important in my mind than exact energy figures is shot placement. Inside of 400 yards with a 6.5 Creed, which is a very easy cartridge to shoot well, you can really optimize your shot placement so long as you practice. And even if you've only got 1,350 foot-pounds of energy, I think you'd probably have a very dead elk on your hands. Of course, for all this to be relevant, we'd want to make sure our muzzle velocity is exceeding or at least close to 2,700 feet per second. Thanks for joining us today for our 4th test of Nosler's Accubond. We'll be doing one more video on this bullet before hopefully getting our first 5 cartridge review pushed out. Our format for those has been in the works for some time. Of course, if you got something out of today's content, hit the like button or drop us a comment. And if you want to stay up to date with what we're doing, consider subscribing to the channel. It lets us know that we're doing something right. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.